Hello, everyone, and welcome to Leo season. This is going to be exciting. This is one of the most fun seasons of the year, and thank you for being here. For those of you who are live, I am going to situate myself because I have hair all over the place. My hair has gotten extremely long, and it's time to cut it during Leo season. Not a lot, but it's time for a refresh. That's what we're going to talk about today. Refreshing, revamping, getting into a bold, confident, bright, like bright pink, bright colors, bright action, bright energy time. This is a season of excellence. And it's also a season of massive abundance. So let's talk about a couple of things that are happening during this Leo season, which starts tomorrow as I'm filming this. It starts on Friday, the 23rd, and goes for a month ahead. And this month is full of magic. First of all, we have obviously our normal new moon and full moon. They're both really, really positive, but there's a wild thing happening, and there's a conjunction, a coming together of planets and points in the sky. Mars, Uranus, and also the North Node, which has to do with this sense of destiny and purpose and mission. So think about all this energy of destiny, purpose, and mission all lit up in your life, where you feel like now is the time and it's accelerating. Now is the time to be on my path. Now is the time to say yes to life in a bigger way. Now is the time to be bolder and brighter. This is exciting energy. It's always a great time during Leo season because we also have the Lionsgate 88 portal, which is this opening up of energy that happens on August 8th every year. Well, it's the height of it is August 8th, where you have a sense of the veil of between us and the rest of the universe and all of the forces of the universe becomes thinner, and there's more of a sense of inspiration and sort of a showering of divine excellent light. It's also a super powerful fire season. So it's summer for a lot of you, it's winter for some of you, but there's a sense of fire regardless of where you are and what season it is. This is a fiery time of action, but also I just made a video about the power of relaxation and why it's so prosperous. And I just want I want to underline that for everyone. Relaxation is prosperous. And so even though we're talking about a fiery time and a passionate time and all these amazing things, relaxing and having fun is incredibly prosperous. So keep that in mind because this is a fun season. This is a time of being in your power, stepping into the light. So a lot of times I hear this, and if this is you, I understand because I felt the same way. You want to be a good person. You want to be humble. You want to be you don't want to be too egomaniacal. And so you downplay your awesomeness a little bit. How many of you downplay your awesomeness? How many of you are like, I don't want to be too bold. Sometimes I'll be having a conversation with someone and I'll say, wow, you're an incredible person. And they say, well, no, I'm not incredible. Yes, you are. Take it. Take the compliment. Take the energy. Hold on to that. It's really important. People won't know how great you are unless you show them in some way. I used to think that somehow it's kind of this mythology that happens in society, in many societies, where you're going to be discovered or someone's going to see the potential in you while you're sitting quietly in the corner, or someone's going to just magically pick you out of a crowd and say, there you go. But in actuality, you have to show up and be seen. You have to be heard. You have to speak up. And it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. And it's a good thing to own your talent, to own your brilliance, to be able to say, I am awesome at this. I'm really good at this. And you can still be humble and polite. You don't have to say, I'm the greatest person in the world and no one could ever be as good as me. But I will say there's something very magnetic about people standing in their confidence and their power. I always make analogies like this because I think it's an apropos analogy. Would you go to get just an elective surgery? Let's just say you wanted to do any elective little small thing, but it was going to have consequences, or even a big thing. If you were getting surgery, would you want to go to a surgeon who was downplaying how good they are and was saying, maybe I could do a good job? No, you'd want to probably work with someone who knew what they were talking about, who was upfront about it, who told you every aspect of it, and who has done this before and who has the ability to say, I stand by my work. And that is how you have trust. You also have trust in a mechanic who knows what they're doing. They're not like, I could play around with this and see if I could fix your car and it's going to cost you this much money. You want to go to someone who says, and you feel it and you know it because you see it and you see their line of customers waiting. I can fix your car, or this is what I can do. This is what I can't do. They're upfront, they're clear, and they're clear about their expertise, and they're clear about how good they are at what they do. That's who you want to work with. You want to work with people who believe in what they're doing and who believe in themselves. You probably don't go searching out a person who's sitting around saying, oh, I don't want to toot my own horn. I don't know, I'm okay at this. No, you would be like, okay, pass. I'm not going to do that. This is a time to stand in your power and own what you are good at and own your voice and know that your opinion matters and your voice matters. And this is really, really big and it's really important. Now, the other aspect of this is being a good person. You might not want to stand out too much. You don't want to be too bright. As Penelope said in the chat, I used to dim my own light. That's common, right? Because we don't want to be too much. Don't want to be too much. Don't want to be too bold. Don't want to be too bright. Don't want to stand out too much. But ultimately, it's not really the best person you could possibly be. It's not that you're not being a good person, but the best person you could possibly be is a person standing in their light, standing in their power, because it encourages other people to do the same. There's an amazing book, and I'm gonna mess up the title of it. I believe it's a really actually it's an old book. I think it's called The Science of Getting Rich. I need to look that up for you guys, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. And I was reading through it last night. I every once in a while I'll pick it up and read through a few chapters because while it's very extreme in its viewpoints about things, and they use only the word him, all of you women out there, they only say him because it's an old book and that's how it went. So I'm reading it and translating it into her and she. But it's as I was reading it, one of the biggest things and one thing that I believe in so clearly is that if you want to actually capitalize on the power of abundance in the world, it's about getting rid of a notion of competition and that there's only so much to go around and that everyone's competing for this little piece of the pie. That is not a healthy way to actually create in a vibrant, abundant way that's unlimited. So get rid of any of these feelings that you have to be better than, or you have to be the best, blah, 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 and be your best you and stand in that power and tell people, I'm really good. I'm getting really good at this. I just learned this, but I'm pretty talented at it. I just made a cake and it's delicious. I'm really impressed. This is stuff that is exciting because then someone else can say, I had that experience. I just did something and I blew my mind at how good I was at it. That's exciting and encouraging. And that brings everyone to a place of power. So that's what Leo season is about. Bringing everyone to this place of power, canceling out this idea that we have to all compete for whatever small bits are out there for us to compete with, and instead get into this notion, which is real, that we can create and we can create circumstances, we can create abundance. While you can't control all of life, you have a lot of power over how much you can actually create. And there are magnificent amounts of energy that we don't tap into in our daily lives. There are only tiny pieces of our mind, even our energy, that we use because we're not taught about them. We don't know about them. The whole idea of Feng Shui and utilizing the power of your environment to manifest more, to become more magnetic, is not common yet. It's becoming more common. It's becoming more popular, but I will beat this drum forever because it's a way to access more of your manifesting power by utilizing the power of your environment. This is so epic. And so in this Leo season, it's standing in your power, trusting yourself, being confident, not competitive. If you're not competitive and you get rid of that notion that you have to compete and be better than other people, which I'm sure you don't feel anyway, but it's kind of all around us, right? If you can just cancel that out and say, I'm going to be my personal best every day, I'm going to show up as my personal best, I'm going to stand in my power even more, I'm going to practice being bolder and brighter. This will translate. And this is why this season is so cool. And then couple that with the Lionsgate 88 on August 8th and all of this intuitive, powerful energy, and add in this crazy conjunction that can speed us toward more mission and purpose. And you've got a recipe for an epic month ahead. Regardless of the time of the year or Leo season or anything else, there's always an epic month ahead. And it's really about setting yourself up to be your best you all the time, constantly learning, constantly growing. Nothing's ever set in stone. When I first started the School of Intention, the professional training program, it was, I thought, going to be 8 or 10 weeks long. It's 6 months long now. The beta group at first was like 10 or 12 weeks. Now it's literally 6 months long. And it just kept growing. It just kept getting bigger. And once you join, you can come back again and again. So no one missed out on anything. And I'm grateful people came in at the beginning and had the experience and grew it with me. That's part of life. You won't start at the end. You start where you are and you will continue to expand more and more and more. And everything will become more and more clear, but it's about starting now. This is about saying yes now, saying yes to your mission, yes to your purpose in a bigger way, yes to life right now. That's why I love the themes of Leo season, and I hope that you do too. This is, by the way, guys, before I forget, the school is open for registration, and it's filling up so fast this season. It's been wild. Below you can find all the details, and it's awesome. There are people all around the world coming in right now. And talk about the fire energy. I'm just like, yes, this is going to be so fun. And so the details are below. Now, let's talk about the first thing first, which is owning your confidence more and how you can do that in your space. Part of confidence is trusting you, trusting yourself, not stopping to think about things. I think, and I'm not sure that I told the story about the Amazon packages in the last live, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to tell it again because I just told it to someone on the phone. And it reminded me again of how little of our energy and mind that we use and how much we can tap into. So I had packages delivered. They didn't show up, got connected to the driver who was delivering them. They didn't know where they put them. And I live in a big city. It could be anywhere. And I was like, forget it. Okay, my packages are gone. I got a refund. I was bummed, but whatever. Let it go. Went outside, sitting in the sun, and thought to myself, I need to go inside, put my shoes on, and get the packages. I didn't stop to think. This is a time, this is a season to not stop and think too much. When you get a strong instinct, trust it a little bit more, follow it a little bit more. I'm not saying don't use your logic and reason, but follow those feelings. So I put my shoes on, grabbed my keys, ran outside. I felt like my legs were walking me. I don't know how I was doing this. My legs were walking me down the block, across the street, right toward a building, upstairs, I just wandered right upstairs. I didn't think, and turned and looked down, and I was like, there are the packages. And I picked them up, and I was in shock. I was like, wait, what just happened? I picked them up, walked downstairs, walked back home, and I was just in shock. Halfway down the block, it hit me. And I just started laughing. And I was like, oh my gosh, something just led me there. What sign is this from the universe? This is just the craziest thing ever. Like, I was just carried to this random place in Los Angeles with millions and millions of people. And I have no clue what brought me upstairs in a building to turn right and see the packages. And then I started researching more because I've heard about this a lot. And I learned, I was having a conversation with a friend about this. It's apropos to say it here about remote viewing. You can actually learn to remote view. And remote viewing is basically, we all have the ability. In fact, people are trained off the street, just regular civilians, not born super psychic or anything else, can be trained to remote view. You yourself have the capacity to learn how to be sitting somewhere and see something or see a person anywhere else in the world, and to move to that target with your abilities here and in your energy field and describe what it is. And in fact, this is something that the government has trained people to do. There are books on it. This is not some wild thing. This has been studied in laboratories. This is a real ability that you have, that I have, that you have, that we all have, but we don't know how to use all of it. And so now can be an amazing time to start learning how, maybe you don't want to learn how to remote view, but learning how to access more of your own intuitive power. There's a book that, and lots of books today. There's a book called Write It Down and Make It Happen. It is written by Henriette Ann Clauser. And in this book, Write It Down and Make It Happen, she tells lots of different stories of different ways people have written things down and made them happen. And she actually includes one of the exercises that I do all the time that I'd never heard people talk about before. And maybe I'll make a separate YouTube on this so that people can access it that aren't watching live. But essentially what you do is sit down and start free writing in a journal. Just free write everything that's on your mind. Just write. And then when you're ready, when you're in a flow, you just write anything that's in your mind. Today is really hot, whatever it is, everything that's just flowing onto the page. And then when you're in your flow, ask a question. And so you're asking a question. Who knows what you're asking? I like to think that I'm asking the universe. Sometimes it's like asking my higher self, whatever you want to phrase it as, but you just write down a question that you want the answer to, like, what decision what's the insight that I need for this? What's the place that I put this thing? Whatever it is, just write down your question. And don't think. Remember, thinking stops this process. Don't think about it. Don't reason. Don't try to concentrate. We're such a society in our heads. I want y'all in your space, in your body, in your energy, and just write whatever comes to mind. Just write whatever comes to mind. Just let it flow through you onto the page. It might make no sense at the time. Sometimes it makes perfect sense. Write it all out. This is often where I get my best ideas, my biggest inspiration. It's like a psychic vehicle. It can help you to start developing trust in your creative self even more. We all could use that. Everyone could use expanded confidence, expanded sense of trusting in your intuition. And if you do this, the more you practice it, the cooler it is. And if you try it, please let me know what happens, because I'm telling you, this is something I put in the moon notes all the time. For those of you who don't receive the moon notes, below you'll see there's a little thing that says you can sign up for the Feng Shui weekly newsletter or moon notes. I don't know what it's called, but you can subscribe below. And every week I send out Feng Shui for the new moons, the full moons. And it's often different than what we do here because a lot of people both watch these and also read the moon notes. So you can sign up below and you will always have Feng Shui and things to do for every moon, every cycle, every change, every season, every equinox, all the things. And it's such a joy to be able to share that with you. So now, as you're getting into your creative flow, your creative confidence, your home is also in the spotlight because when you're surrounded by bright, bold energy around you, that brings more bright, bold energy to you. What's going on in your environment affects you profoundly. What's going on within you affects your environment profoundly. So it might be time to look around and go, do I need to make a shift to make things brighter? Do they need to be bolder? So this is this dark carpet was gifted to me during the pandemic and it served a purpose for a minute. And now I'm like, I have to replace that. That can go someplace else in my house, but I need light, bright, open, airy energy, bold, bright, fresh, fun. If you have something like that, maybe pillows where you're like, I need to brighten these up. I need some color. It might be that you dye something, dye curtains, dye a tablecloth. They're all fun. There are so many fun ways that you can do this to integrate more bold, bright, fresh energy and color into your space. And it's going to have a real resounding effect in your environment. So this is really powerful. Also, of course, whenever we're talking about freshness and opening up to more abundance and more creativity, you want to make sure the energy is flowing freely. So for you in your home, it might be a time where you say, okay, I am going to deep clean my whole house, or okay, I am going to finally get rid of the clutter in my workspace. Any place where you create, maybe it's your kitchen where you cook a lot, maybe it's your desk where you do a lot of work. Maybe it's a craft room or a craft table or an area in your home where you make a lot of things. A lot of people use their dining room table where you dig in and everything around it, you clean out, clear out, declutter, organize, open up to more fresh energy. This will make a big difference for you in terms of expanding that feeling of boldness and brightness around you. And so just really get into this. Even just look around your house and say, what's gone flat? And it might be that a room suddenly looks like blah to you. Maybe it's time, if you can't change the decor, that every week you bring home fresh flowers, or you have a big thing of fresh fruit that you keep stocked in one room, where it could be even it doesn't have to be the kitchen or the dining room. It might be your coffee table where you keep a great big bowl of lemons or apples or peaches or whatever it is that's bright and bold and fresh. This energy is really, really powerful. On that note, it is a great time to think about, even though it's the end of the summer, it's a great time to think about indoor gardening, growing things that you can eat, growing things for the beauty of them. Growing houseplants is wonderful, but growing food, learn to sprout, learn to grow microgreens, all of this stuff that's deeply energizing. Sprouting is one of the most inexpensive, easiest things that you can learn to do at home. And you can make large amounts of food that are superfoods, and you can make them for pennies. These are things that are resourceful, but also you're growing your own food. And that's something that's really, in terms of energy, it's like next level. For all of you who garden, you know what that's like when you have that next level connection and energy. So I have I'll show you, I have all these big planters, and I'm going to fill this one with, I'm going to find edible flowers, and I'm going to do an edible flower big basket and put it outside. I've always wanted to grow a lot of edible flowers, so that's going in here. and I have another one to fill up with other stuff. And I'm thinking about getting garden towers as well, like great big garden towers. There's always something in terms of growing, thinking about expanding and growing. For those of you who garden, you know how fulfilling it is to grow something and then be able to bring it inside and eat it. There's just nothing like that connection. And there are ways to do this inside that are inexpensive and doable. Sprouting, growing microgreens, two things you can look into that are perfect year round, and a wonderful thing to start now in this bold, bright season as we get into September and start talking about the harvest moon, the harvest season. You'll be in that spirit of growing and really consuming what you grow. So really having that abundance on that level. This is also great for the abundance in your life. And it can save you a lot of money. Microgreens in a store are very expensive, at least where I live, but they're really inexpensive to grow. And even to set up and start and get a little kit, really inexpensive. There's a company called Urban Hydro Greens. I think I got that right. They're based out of Las Vegas. That's where I get my microgreen kits from. I love them. They're amazing. And it's so refreshing to just have this big tray of microgreens and then another one coming and another one coming. It's like endless abundance coming in. And all of these things are super nutrients. And you want to really think about this season as things are heating up, as there's more action, more energy. You want to be really well fed, and not just eating enough, but really in terms of nutrients, like really full of energy. And so you might even experiment with new fruits, new vegetables. I went to Trader Joe's in America the other day, and I was like, I have never seen half the fruits. They had rambutan in Trader Joe's. They had passion fruit in Trader Joe's. They never had these things before. They have all these hybrid things. I don't know why, but it was really exciting to see. And I was like, ooh, all these new things I've never had before. So experiment a little, go to a farmer's market, start gathering up nutrients. You might even want to learn a little bit about foraging safely where you live. There are lots of wild weeds. There are lots of wild things growing that you can absolutely forage and eat. And you can even grow wild weeds and eat them. But there's so much to learn. There's so much that can be done during the beginning of this. During March of 2020, that was when my acupuncturist started a whole mushroom farm in his yard and on his balcony and patio, and grew like incredible mushrooms that were really hard to find anywhere else. There are so many things that are possible. So on that note, think about growing, expanding, and the big thing, which is saying yes to life. Really following those feelings, not thinking a lot, and saying yes to life. This is so incredibly powerful. There are lots and lots of things. There's a chat going on, which is wonderful. Yes, lamb's quarters are a great weed, but also green to grow, fabulous for smoothies. There are a lot of weeds, a lot of extremely nutritious weeds that you can grow, or you can also forage depending on where you live, that have so many more nutrients than like spinach or kale. It's quite phenomenal. There is a book, so many books today. There's a book about green smoothies by the Boutenkos, Boutenko, the Boutenko family. And yes, like dandelions, lamb's quarters, they talk about all of these nutritious weeds that they've cultivated for their green smoothies that have transformed their health. And it's a really, really fabulous book. I mean, they drink quarts of green smoothies every day, and they swear by it. And everything that I learned about these weeds was what was most powerful about this book. So it's definitely a good read, and it's definitely a really interesting book. It was a birthday present like 15 years ago. And I've always held on to it because it was fascinating. So how can you expand and say yes to life more? Let that be the big question. How can you expand and say yes to life more? It can be yes to more fun. It can be yes to more relaxation. It can be yes to a hobby that you want to start, a thing that you've always wanted to do, learning that you've wanted to do, things that you want to see and experience. Saying yes to life and saying yes to those moments. And, just to bring you back, I know that not all of you were here at the beginning, but if you listen to the beginning or the middle, the story I told about the Amazon packages, we all get inspiration sometimes, a hit, a feeling. I need to go do this. I need to go to the store right now. I need to go buy this scratch off lottery ticket, whatever it is. We all get these instincts that are sometimes irrational, yet they're not so big of a deal. It's not like, oh, I have an idea that I'm going to give my life savings to a stranger. No, that's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about those daily instincts, those pulls, those things where we're just like, that's it. And you feel like I should do that. Do it. That is saying yes to life. Those little moments, those little things. I think about, I could have said no to going out one night and not met a person that changed my life. I could have said no to not turning right, and when I felt like turning right and turning left instead. I could have made a different decision. But if you think about all those instinctual decisions that you have followed and all the things that have unfolded from there, there's always a reason why we're getting a pull to do something. Follow those feelings. That's what this season is all about. So on that note, I hope you're excited for Leo season. We will definitely do a live for the new moon, the full moon. We will also do a live for Lionsgate 88 if I can sneak one in, because it's such a fun time. But this whole season, bolder, brighter, bigger. I hope you feel inspired to do something to say yes for you. And if anything that you take away from this, you're allowed to be amazing. You're allowed to be talented. You're allowed to have people know about that. You're allowed to be surrounded by light and joy. And if there are people in your life who feel like you are not allowed to do that, or who feel like that's a luxury, or they criticize you for it, or tell you that you shouldn't be so bold, you could just take a step back from those people and keep focusing on your greatness, because this is what matters. And this is what's going to change the world. The only way we're going to really evolve, like everyone's talking about ascension and evolution and all these things, the only way we're going to grow and evolve is if we're all bringing our best stuff to the table. Your genius, your ideas, your brilliance. I tell everyone this in the school when they're learning to do Feng Shui in this way. It's not just about what I do. It's specifically you, your viewpoint, your wisdom, your genius, your knowledge, your skills, your life experience. That's all something that a lot of people specifically need. They don't need to hear from me. They need to hear from you. And that goes for everything you do, for every interaction you have. You have so much invaluable energy to bring to the world. So rather than downplaying it, play it up, speak it out, stand in your power, and let that also allow other people to shine. And that's the whole point. When you do it, other people feel compelled to do it too. So you're awesome. I hope you own that. I hope you feel that. I hope this season ahead, this month ahead is amazing. And you could tell I'm excited about this month. I hope it's amazing. And I hope that this gives you some ideas to move with and that trust within you to follow all of this energy. So on that note, thank you all for being here. I love, I'm saying yes, Penelope, to you getting into Sundance in 2023. We can do a group intention for you in the school. Even if you're not in it, it doesn't matter. Just send me a message. Together in the school every week, we do a group intention. We all gather together and send energy toward a wish, a dream, a desire, a need that someone has, whatever it might be. And in the process of doing that, and I think that's a great way to end this today, we've seen absolute magic happen, like absolute magic happen. And it really confirmed for me and for everyone the power of this intention that we all have, more than just, okay, the law of attraction and everything else. When we work together toward common good, when we find a common focus, when we can all focus together in synergy toward more light, toward more joy, toward an outcome that we all want to see, it happens. We've seen miracles. And it's not just miracles we're making. People come back to us saying, this made a miracle happen. And I'm just like, okay, I'll take it. But I don't want to presume, but it's been epic to see. And one of the reasons why I'm so emphatic about you guys trusting yourselves is because it takes trust in yourself to set an intention and follow it and focus on it and bring it to life. And that's why your environment is so powerful. When you start putting all of this intention and energy into your environment, it's supporting you. Just like when we send an intention in a group in the school, it's supporting you all day long. Your home is a huge part of your manifesting power. So this season, make it light, make it bright, open windows, let sun stream in, and have an incredible, incredible month ahead. I will talk to you guys soon. Mwah. Bye, everyone.